Recientemente, Bad Bunny ha estado en la cima del mundo musical y el show de medio tiempo del... Nah, I'm just kidding.
4 de julio fue el de July. Ando con mi prima borracha Rulay. Los míos en el Bronx, ¿sabes la que hay? Con la nota en high, por Washington hay.
So to state the obvious, this halftime show was the first in history to be performed almost entirely in a language that is not English, and given typical NFL viewership, that makes Bad Bunny a pretty controversial pick to headline from the jump. There's just no way around that. But if anyone was equipped to fight that uphill battle, it is probably the guy that is the most listened to artist on the planet.
Me la voy a llevar a todas pa' un VIP, ey. Saludan a Titi, vamos.
Before we get to Bad Bunny's performance itself, I want to nerd out with you guys a little about how the halftime show has been evolving stylistically over the past few years. If you've seen any of my other halftime show videos, you've probably heard me talk about the balance between concert and spectacle in terms of how a performer approaches the format. But in the 2020s, there's now a third element I haven't really talked about much to this point, and it's the fact that halftime shows are now structured and planned out way more like live music videos. Intensely choreographed camera work, extreme close-ups, small-scale details, performers always being aware of and playing to the camera rather than just the audience, these all became defining aspects of the halftime show starting back in 2021 with The Weeknd. At the time, it seemed like those stylistic choices were a product of COVID-era restrictions, but now it's become clear that they were actually the result of a change in the show's executive producer role, with Jesse Collins helming the show for Roc Nation ever since. But why bring all this up now? Well, I only mention it because I think Bad Bunny's performance sets a new standard for how much storytelling can be done using this new format. Every visual element of this halftime show was just immaculately crafted. I mean, just look at the detail in these sets. Little Man is in the barbershop, and this is at midfield of the Super Bowl. Sugarcane fields and street vendors and a literal wedding with Lady Gaga singing at the reception, it all wove together into this really cohesive and compelling narrative that's made even stronger using this more intimate approach. And as someone who has been a certified hater of West Coast halftime shows in the past because of the way daylight can ruin the aesthetic, this show leaned into it and made it a strength by using warm colors and lighting. It just made the whole thing feel like this backyard party getting kicked off at sunset. In a performance where so much of the audience was not going to understand the words or be familiar with the songs, all of that visual storytelling became so much more important, and Bad Bunny and the entire production team absolutely knocked that aspect out of the park. And speaking of the songs, yeah, I mean, I didn't know any of them, but I'd be lying out the ass if I tried to pretend I wasn't nodding along the entire time. The whole set list had this pulse that just drove it along. It understood when to slow down, when to speed it back up. At a certain point, it's like, okay, maybe you don't understand the words, but do you understand energy? Do you understand emotion? Do you have eyesight? Because if you can answer yes to any of those questions, you probably had a pretty good time. Well before it began, it was decided that no matter what was said during this show, it was going to be another battlefield in America's absurd and infinite culture war. What political nods there actually were mostly came in the form of Bad Bunny shining a spotlight on his homeland of Puerto Rico, with a set referencing the island's unreliable power grid, and then he had Ricky Martin singing the hell out of his song that warns to not let Puerto Rican culture be diluted in the same way Hawaii's was by American involvement. That was one I didn't understand until after the show. But the most direct and unmissable message Bad Bunny put forth was a simple one of togetherness. The kind that makes life worth living even despite all the awful shit human beings do to one another. Togetherness in the form of your family or your community. In the form of all of America. Every single country on this collection of rocks that we call home.
A my motherland, mi patria, Puerto Rico. Seguimos aquí.
For a show that I had very little idea what to expect of going in, this one impressed me on just about every level. Gonna place Bad Bunny in the A tier. If that tier list ending was a jump scare to you, please don't be afraid. This is just a mini update to a much bigger video posted back in 2023. Link on screen and in the description if you're interested in that. Whether we're in agreement or not on this show or on anything, I'm incredibly thankful for your time, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Take care.